Welcome back, Mechwarriors. This is Oldbob 10025 with some simple tips and hints for the new players that have just joined the game from Steam, all the new players that will join the game from any other type of aspect of Mechwarrior Online. So, first thing I'm going to teach a couple things. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and teach you what arm lock is and what it does. So let's go to settings first, and there's arm lock under game settings. Just hit arm lock and go ahead and unlock it. Let's go ahead and save. And then I'll show you exactly what it does as far as like the game itself. So hold on one second here. Okay, what we have here is something called arm lock. So what happens when you normally move your mech, you can only fire what's in your little target there. And what happens is when you're on hills, when you're firing up and down, you're not able to actually use your arms effectively. So when you take off arm lock, you can move it. So the little circle is going to be where your arms are firing at or shooting at. So right now I have my 4 beam lasers on my arms, so I'm going to shoot those, and my AC5s on my front torso. I can't move the front torso unless I go up and down with the mouse, but that's it. But with the arms, I could actually fire wherever that circle is. It's useful for shooting down UAVs, useful for shooting up and down hills when you have arm-mounted weapons. You can fire like all the way up here. Fire all the way down. Well, you can't see it, but that's generally basically what arm lock does. I fire my cannon, just fire straight forward, and that's it. Not going to do much if they're up and down. The highest I can go looking up is there. The lowest I can go is right there. So it's useful for shooting up and down hills and for actually targeting different things that are out there. So what I use it for is when my target is like this, I could still hit them and kind of just target it that way. That's what arm lock does. It's very useful. Get used to it, practice it, and be a very good idea for you guys. Tip number 2 is third-person view. Now, I wouldn't recommend using this. Don't get used to it because it's a pain in the butt, and plus also you're at a big disadvantage when you use third-person view. Just go to settings. You can either start in third person. I would just take that off. When you go ahead and start in third person, it'll show you everything around. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like in start in third person. Go ahead and save, and we'll go from there. When you start in third person view, you're always going to be like, when you start in third person view, you're always going to look like this. Unfortunately, what happens is you cannot bring up the map, you can't bring up the HUD, you can't bring up like pretty much almost anything. You can hit R and it won't actually do anything. And there's nothing you can really do. It's kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, it's kind of cool when you see everything around you, which is nice. But the problem is, though, you're losing so much more tactical data from everything that's going on, and you can barely go ahead and target what's in front of you. What I do recommend is just go ahead and hit this, and then hit settings. Start in third-person view. Save. Knock that out. Resume game, and then and always start in the cockpit view, which I'll show you that in just a second. When you start in first person view, when you uncheck that box, you start like this, which is the normal cockpit that you do have. You have your HUD down below. It shows you the map itself. You can bring up your map as well, which this won't actually, but you can bring up, there we go, bring up the map itself. You can figure out where you need to go and everything. It actually helps out. And also any type of like HUD displays you have for your mech itself, and it's so much better. You should get used to this view because it's one of the most important ones you should actually always play in. Do not play in the third-person view because it is just too much of a pain and you're going to lose a lot of games doing that. Tip number 3 is the directional arrow. Until you get used to actually how your legs work just like a tank with the turret, which will be your upper torso, and the bottom, which will be your legs. So you can move left and right, which I'll show you like on the map is here. Click this until you actually get used to what's going on. It helps even for the vets, and they use it as well. So I'll show what that looks like here. So basically, like if you see the arrow that's down below, that shows where your legs are. So you move that, and my torso is twisting this way. But at least you know kind of like where your legs are, get a general direction of what's going on, and it helps you in the game itself. So I recommend actually using this until you basically like you get used to the game itself. It's definitely a lifesaver, to tell you the truth, especially when you're walking through a bunch of rocks or trees on the bog map. Tip number 4, Throttle Decay. I recommend actually using this at all times. It will save you in the long run. Here's how I use it. Use the WASD keys to go forward, back, right, and left. With Throttle Decay, if you do not have this on, what happens is this. Let me get to the settings here. Zoom game. You just keep on going. You're going forward, and it doesn't actually do anything. You basically, or you go backwards. Just keep on hitting backwards, and it keeps on going backwards, even if you let off the key itself. Now with Throttle Decay, what happens is you have to keep it on there in order for it to go and do something. I use this. It helps me in my games. I could just keep on going. My hands off the keyboard. I could do whatever I want here. Go left, right, do that kind of thing. But with Throttle Decay, this is what it does. Click that. Throttle Decay. My hands off the mouse. I go back. Goes down. Let's give it to a point here. My hands off the keyboard, goes down. That way you're always in control of your movement and know what's going on. You do not want to have a point where you just keep on moving forward, because a lot of times you'll be poking in and out trying to actually hit somebody, and you forget about it. So that's definitely one thing I would definitely recommend. Tip number 5. Change your regions. I highly recommend you look at this. You just don't even click the quick play, just kind of put your mouse cursor like over it. There's North American, European, and Oceanic. That means the Oceanic is in the Pacific, European, and then North America, like obviously. This tells you your millisecond ping. If you play these other ones, you're going to be slowing down, you have ping issues, you're going to have all that kind of stuff. So what you do is you go to the left part here, under this little arrow here, click that, and whatever region you want to play in. If you're from the Pacific, obviously you want to go play the Pacific. This just all depends where you're from. So let's click that, and then you also click more info. Tells you all the different options you want to do. Okay, that's for lag and everything. So, and then what happens is it says light, medium, heavy, and then assault. For quick matchmaking, if you have an assault, there's 15% of the people in North America have assaults, and so basically you're more likely to get into the game quicker than if you have in heavy. Medium's the same thing. Light space is more likely you're able to get into a game really quick. With the light mech, it's at 20%. Lower it is, the more apt you're faster you get into that type of game. Sometimes the heavies have like 70-80%, so it takes a long time to get inside those games. So that's basically one of the things that I wanted to go and show you for the new players. You will get some people that are total D-bags, but don't worry about it. It's a very good community of people. They're very nice, and we try to help you guys as much as possible. If you make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. You don't have to worry about it. I recommend that you go ahead and learn from the mistakes. That'd be one of the best things you can do. But if you make mistakes, someone goes bonkers on you, when the game ends, you can left click their name of whoever went bananas on you and started cussing you out. And there's a whole list of different things you can report them for, like say chat abuse, abusive language. Block them. If you don't like that person when you're playing with them, you also can block them as well from never playing with that person again, which is highly recommendable, because it's a very good community of people. It's not like World of Tanks where every game, if they lose, they want to fly over your house and kill you. So the community of Mechwarrior is one of the best I've ever seen as far as helping people out, saying, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to have a fun time. Enjoy the game. That's all you got to do, man. Really appreciate you watching. Sorry, my voice is getting there. Really appreciate you watching. I know you can watch other YouTubers, but definitely I really appreciate you watching mine. It makes me feel good. I'm not talking to myself making these videos for nobody, but I make them for you, and because you are what makes this game great. And I will see you on the battlefield. If you have any questions or comments, or write them down. Go ahead and type them down below. If you have anything else you want to know, any questions about anything, I will go ahead and try to answer them as best as possible. Leave the question down below, and go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I will go ahead and make as many videos for you guys as possible, trying to get you to know what's going on as well. Thank you, and I will see you on the battlefield. Target acquired.